is we could deliver to them, not just ourselves, but by working with the school district. By the way, we found out in this process there's a 7th school district that's, depending on where you live in Aurora, that you could actually, this is the Wheaton-Warrenville School District there. That we partnered with the adjacent municipality, Warrenville, and we were able to get the incentive that was needed, not with the TIF district, but by saying, okay, here's what the city can rebate to you in the next few years. Here's what the school district can rebate to you. And in just a few years, we're able to give them the incentive that's needed so that then, just after 3 years instead of 23 years with the TIF district, you're able to actually see all of that created increment from the 1.4 million square feet of building that they're going to be putting there, and the over 1,000 jobs that are going to be coming to that area. You see that going into the schools, going into what we've been talking about, how we need to expand the property tax base in order to be able to continue to deliver quality services. So I think that there are a variety of ways we can do that. When it comes to entertainment and culture, diversity, I mean, these are some of the things that Aurora is so comparatively rich in. When you look at a city like Aurora, I think we have the ability, what we need to do is we need to market Aurora because we do have unique attributes that can bring people downtown, but it's not just the city. And Invest Aurora has been doing a great job bringing businesses, keeping businesses, seeing them grow within Aurora. But we need to be working together with our Chamber of Commerce, with our school districts, with our park districts, our townships, with our Convention and Visitors Bureau. There's so many different entities that have a piece of it, but we oftentimes don't sing off the same page of the hymn book. And what I think we need to do is create a collaborative marketing plan that can show people outside of Aurora what Aurora really is, which is a community that is rich in culture and arts and diversity, that can bring people downtown, that can market this to young professionals, that can use the river, our trails, our wonderful facilities like this one that the Park District provides, to be able to bring people who want a high quality of life, but also want access to transportation like the train, that also want good schools, and want a city that is dedicated to partnering with all of the people within it, all of the entities within it, to be able to bring about a great result for the people who live here and recognize Aurora for what it is, which is a great, diverse, beautiful city.
Thank you. Question 5. It's the day after the election, and you're now the mayor of the city of Aurora. What are the top 3 most important areas of focus for you as the new chief executive of the city? What will you change, and what will you keep the same? Alderman Seville.
Yes, my first day, as I mentioned earlier, I will be concentrating on economic development, schools, and public safety. I will begin forming a coalition with the school districts and the school superintendents, the boards of directors, and the mayors to try to get Springfield to change the school funding formula. That will be from day 1. I will also meet with Chief Zeeland and her staff, partner with the police department, and working with neighborhood groups to make sure that our public safety levels increase and our crime decreases. I'm a strong proponent of the crime-free housing ordinance, as you know, and co-sponsoring that, and I will look for ways to build upon the policies and programs that we have to make sure that everyone lives in a safe neighborhood. I represent a very diverse ward. I have 12% population African American. I have 51% population Hispanic, small percent of Asian, and the rest Caucasian. Everyone knows, the last 32 years as alderman of the 6th Ward, everyone knows that they can call me and tell me about concerns that they have, and I will be very aggressive in solving them. I would meet with staff in formulating programs and policies to be aggressive, as I mentioned, that I would indeed reset the TIF districts. And the reason why I say that is because when the TIF districts were formed, they were formed 11 and 12 years ago when the value was higher. So the reason why we're not getting much development is because there's no increment. So we have to lower the increment with today's assessed valuation to make sure when the economy grows, when we get development, that there's an increment to actually help development occur. So that's why I'm saying that we have to reset the TIF increment. I would also work with Invest Aurora to make sure that we have the most aggressive policy possible to get new jobs and quality businesses in our community. Now, we need to also work with planning staff to update some of our quality standards that we have for development. Someone told me recently, a staff person, that some of those standards date back to 1957. So I would make sure that we update our zoning ordinance to make sure that we have the type of quality development that we all expect. Now, the reason why development has occurred in DuPage, Kendall, and Will County is because we did a good job of having quality development. We need to make sure that our economic corridors have the same quality development that we saw in development in the far east side. So I will meet with all of my staff, first off, find out what their thinking is, but also in terms of what I'm hearing from you on the campaign trail to implement from day one. Thank you.
Mr. Guzman.
Well, one of the first things that I would do is to launch a committee to update and actually just redo our comprehensive plan. It was done in 1984, and it's been something that sort of like the tax code, right, just gets amended, and finally it sort of doesn't really make sense anymore, right? So what we need is a new comprehensive plan. We're a completely different community than we were in 1984 when the original comprehensive plan was done. And there are lots of different subcomponents of that that we would need to take on. But the question also asked about the top 3 priorities. And so the priorities, of course, would be economic development, crime, and maintaining quality services. Now, education, of course, is a component of that. And I think that there is, however, even though the city of Aurora doesn't have direct control over our educational systems, there is more that we can do. We've done some great things by helping to launch the Strong, Prepared, and Ready for Kindergarten, the SPARK initiative, that's helped to bring an $11 million grant that we wouldn't have gotten if we weren't collaborating with the school districts, with the United Way, and with other entities. And that $11 million grant helped create 400 new all-day preschool slots in District 204, District 131, and 129. That's what collaboration can do. We have the Pathways to Prosperity initiative. And these are 2 initiatives I've been highly involved in. I go to the monthly meetings, and we work together with our school districts in this case, and with some of our other private foundations and other entities. And with Pathways to Prosperity, we're seeing some tremendous progress too. We have a new technical training center that's being built on the west side of Aurora, but it's going to be made available to all school districts within Aurora. We're working on ways that we can get greater access for District 204 to be able to get into the nursing school that Waubonsie Community College has right up the street from here, to be able to train kids in high school to be able to get the jobs that we know are available now and jobs that are unlikely to be outsourced in healthcare, in the advanced manufacturing jobs that are coming back, and in information technology, which cuts across all sorts of things. So I would bring an education person into the mayor's office to make sure that we are being good partners. But overall, I believe that the answer it's a recurring theme with me, is in collaboration. I think that we need to continue to work with those entities that are out there who have shared goals. We're looking to try to make Aurora a better place, and we need to be working more collaboratively than we have been. And there are great opportunities to be able to do that, and that would be my priority on day one, is pulling together everybody who has the common goals with us and building a plan that is inclusive and building a plan that is collaborative.
And Alderman Irving.
Day 1, 3 things. Economic Development Commission. Reinstate that, talk to the business community about pulling together the commission and creating plans for not just downtown, but economic development plans for each ward. Also, day 1, an education commission, working with the school districts and interested educators and partnershiping with all the school districts that touch the city of Aurora, and creating a collaborative effort to work together to share resources and share best practices and best ideas throughout the state. Day 1, I want to create an internal commission that focuses on improving our internal processes, improving our permits department. I don't know if any of you have ever heard, I know that when businesses come to the city, they oftentimes have run up against issues with our permits department taking too long, or putting them through too much to set up business here in Aurora. We've got to streamline that and make it a one-stop shop. Also, we've got to focus on improving our inspections department, making sure that we're, when I say improving, making sure that we have the number of inspectors needed to be out in our communities to ensure that we don't have overcrowding on our east side, which causes a problem with our school districts or takes advantage of our resources, a drain on our resources. Also, the education committee, the internal commission would work on processes that would streamline how government works and make sure that all the information that we have in the city is available and open access to our citizens. We've got to make sure our website is user-friendly so you can navigate it and find any information you want and open access to all the information and all the documents that the city deals with every day. If we eventually immediately implement those plans, Economic Development Commission and working with the businesses to identify what we need to do to grow our revenue streams, Education Commission, which makes sure that we have good education on the east side, west side, 204, 308, Canelan. Make sure that when people are moving into the city, they're moving in because we have quality education. And 3, a internal processes commission to make sure we have checks and balances inside the city and make sure our processes are streamlined. That will be I think if we implement that plan within the first 100 days, I think the rest, everything else will kind of fall in place smoothly. And again, I always talk about economic development, crime, and education all in the same breath because they all affect each other. There's no economic development without a popular and sought-after city. Businesses aren't going to come unless we have an educated and prepared workforce. Crime is going to continue to happen unless we get our youth off the street and into effective programs and jobs.
Thank you, gentlemen. That concludes the question and answer portion of this session. Now we'll get to the closing statements. And again, just a reminder, you'll have 2 minutes for your statement. So we'll start with Mr. Guzman.
Well, again, Aurora has been undertaking an amazing story. And a couple of the things that I could have talked about in probably many of the answers, but neglected to do so, are some of the progress that we've been making in actually taking former vacant buildings that were off the tax rolls in many instances and helping them get those back onto the tax rolls. Taking institutional buildings like the former Wabansie Community College, the former St. Charles Hospital, being able to find new long-term uses that will help those to be contributing to the community. I've talked a lot about collaboration. Those are 2 examples of projects that where I was the lead on the city side, but the city never could have done, certainly on its own. But we found private developers. We told them the story of Aurora, the transformation that's been taking place, and we said, look, if Aurora went from having a homicide rate that was 4 or 5 times the national average back in the 90s, and 20 years later now, our homicide rate is actually, depending on the year, but if you take the 5-year average, is about 50% lower than the national average. And if you think about that, and that trajectory that we've been on, and if we can continue that progress by continuing the practices that have gotten us to this place, then right now is the time to invest in Aurora. Because 20 years forward, you may not be able to afford it. But I do believe, and you know what, we got investors who saw that. David Caradimas was mentioned earlier, and I worked with a couple of private developers to bring these buildings back onto the tax rolls, and they said, you know what, now is the time to invest in Aurora. And I think a lot of this investment is going to come if we can continue to provide the type of foundation that we have built up until this point. And so I'm proud of the 300,000 square feet of properties that were off the tax rolls that we put back on the tax rolls just in the last year or year moving forward.
Thank you. Alderman Urban.
You know, I started this out saying that this race for mayor is about leadership. Simple as that, about leadership. Who is going to be the next leader of the city of Aurora? Because we're going to need a leader to bring in economic development and work with bringing more revenue streams into the city. We're going to need a leader that brings together Education Commission and focuses on bringing the school districts together to collaborate. We're going to need a leader to continually keep a check on crime. Now, when you have a number of individuals to choose from, and all good people, and people that I said that I know love this city, or otherwise, why would we be up here in front of you saying, look at us and please vote for me? This is no easy task running for office. I've been here a time or two. But I'll do it time and time again because I believe in this city. I'm running for mayor because I know we can be more. We can do more. We can go to the next level. And I believe my leadership will take us there. As I said, I was a leader in the military when I served in combat in the Gulf War. I was a leader in a community-based prosecution unit, working with the police to stop crime in the city of Aurora. I've been a leader when I started my own law practice 2 blocks down the street from where I grew up in low-income housing, with employees that work for me and rely on me to pay their mortgages. I've been a leader for the last 10 years on the city council as alderman at large. There's only 2 aldermen at large. One of them's the mayor sitting over there, and I'm the other one. I've run citywide, and we've dealt and addressed citywide issues. I was a leader when I joined the Fox Valley Credit Union as the chairman and changed its rating from very low bond rating to a very high bond rating and turned that credit union around. This is what we need for the city and for our future. Someone to lead us to the future. And I want to be that leader for you. I'd like to be the next mayor of the city of Aurora. It would be my honor to serve you in that position.
And Alderman Seville.
I literally have decades of dedication serving people. I love to serve. That's my avocation. And as my work on the city council has proven, I can get things done. I'm very aggressive in making policy. I'm very aggressive in solving people's problems. I don't look for Band-Aids. I look for long-term solutions. In giving you my background earlier, I also want to say that I have also served as Mayor Pro Tem, so I know what it's like to take on some responsibilities as a leader in our community. In the many successful programs that I've been able to initiate, again, I want you to think about past this prologue, right? Please go to my catchy website name, MikeSevilleForMayor.com. Look at what I've accomplished. It's by year. You're going to have to spend some time on it because there's a lot there. But I urge you to do so to get an understanding of what I'm like and what I would be like as your mayor. I mentioned to you the crime-free housing ordinance and how that has reduced crime overnight and made landlords more accountable. And I'll give you an example. I have a large apartment building in my ward. I had a call from the Fox Valley Park District Police, actually, because it was across the street. And he told me, Mike, we have a real problem here. So what I did is I asked the police department to do a 3-year call for service. We literally had 999 police calls for service in 3 years' time. I couldn't believe it. So what we did, I gathered staff, I gathered the police department. We asked the landlords to come in. We kind of read them the riot act. We made them to put security on the building, on their site. Last month I had a meeting with the police department, 2 calls for police service. That's the way I work. Not Band-Aids, but long-term solutions. I love our community. As I mentioned to you, I was born and raised here. There's a lot of positive things going on. Yes, we have challenges. I've never shied away from them. I love working with people. I love serving people. I love solving your issues long-term. That's all the time I have.
Thank you all very much. I've done a lot of things like this, large groups and other events and things, and it never fails. You forget to introduce somebody in the front end, but you should. And so my apologies for making that. Could I have Keith Bradley stand up? We forgot to introduce you earlier for the 10th Ward. Alderman? Okay, thank you. Well, on behalf of Alderman Irvine, I first want to thank the community that came out tonight. This is a true testament of the electoral process and the importance of it, especially in this community. So I do want to thank you all for taking time to do that. And with that in mind, it is a very heartfelt reminder that the primary is February 28th, coming up shortly. So make sure all of you in this room that have so wanted to come out today, take that extra 5 minutes and run over to the voting booth for that. Please use the next 45 minutes We've got several other candidates, along with the ones that are up here. Please use the next 45 minutes to, again, ask those questions that may not have been asked, or address some other issues that you might have with the people here in this room. So on behalf of the City of Aurora and the residents in this room, I want to thank the candidates for their participation tonight, and thank you all. Have a good evening.